Hello, this is Dr. Pete, and I was given an email earlier today about what the Goldilock effect is. And I talk about this a lot in writing in the sense of the basically the three bears, and Goldilocks. And what the idea is I remember years ago hearing about the Goldilocks zone, so to speak, for planets. And if there's a sun and there's a zone, and we multiply how many galaxies, that's the sweet zone, the Goldilocks zone. And so I thought to myself, that same concept applies to writing, and that there is a point of having too little or too much writing given a paragraph. So the idea with the Goldilocks effect in writing is we want something not too long or not too short. If something is too short, then obviously it's not developed enough. If it's too long, it is overdeveloped, or it looks, say it loses focus. So for example, if I write a paragraph, and some people, everyone, this is subjective, okay? So let's just make that up front. But for the most part, people will agree that paragraphs are 4 to 5 sentences. Some will say 5 to 6. So in short, if you shot for about 5 sentences, that typically is a good paragraph. Now, if you go to graduate school, doctorate school, or maybe you want to make it 6 or 7 sentences, that's fine. And you also have to note that some people write shorter sentences and some people write longer sentences. So you have to tailor the Goldilocks effect to yourself. If I were to look at a paper optically, it's about 5 inches. And I know that sounds funny, but if I'm reading a paper and optically it's roughly 5 inches on my screen, and that could be 5.5 on someone else's or 4.5 on another. But when it comes to a sheet of paper, that's another optical clue or hint that this is long enough and developed. A couple other things that typically come up with the Goldilocks effect is the development of the topic. So each paragraph, typically in academics, is a good indicator, or maybe better said, a hint that you should probably use a source. Now, a source can start at the beginning, it can be in the middle, but we definitely don't want it at the end, because once we cite something, we want to obviously develop it. And if we put it at the end, it's not developed. At minimum, you would put a transition sentence to the next paragraph, so that would show that you didn't do that. So when I talk about the Goldilocks effect, is there some subjectivity to it? Yes. But then again, grading and doing college work and pretty much anything is pretty subjective in life. So what we want to do is we want to see people saying, okay, what you want is a development of an idea completely. We don't want it too little, and we don't want it too much. And the Goldilocks effect has a very visual impact. Okay, I'm thinking about this, the three bears and the Goldilocks, and I don't want this hot porch or cold. I want it just right. And at some point, as you get better at writing and you develop things, you will find that it's much easier to say, okay, I think this is the Goldilocks or the sweet zone for me. And some people, I've seen them write 4 sentences and they do a very good job, compound sentences and a little bit longer, and it's excellent what they do. And other people write 6 sentences because they're more concise and to the point. Both are okay, nothing wrong with them, it's just different styles. So when that happens, then you have to relate it to how the professor sees it, and then how do they grade things and how do they analyze, so, or how they review your work. What I would suggest to you is really taking the time to get a basic concept of the Goldilocks effect, meaning a good paragraph length, but at the same time making sure that you relate that to the assignments, making sure that you also talk to the professor and get an idea about that. Also, when we talk about introductions, shorter papers, meaning probably things like 5, 6, 7, 8 pages, they need to have a paragraph. Maybe it's 4 to 6. Develop the idea. So you want to cite something, develop that, and at the end of that paragraph, use a thesis. What's this paper, or topic sentence? What's this paper about? What's going to be analyzed in this paper? And be very clear about it. Be very precise. Remember, the paper, don't say this paper will analyze. The paper doesn't analyze anything. It's an inanimate object. So you would say the following things will be analyzed, or something to the effect of letting people understand what's going to be discussed in the paper. So I do appreciate the student contacting me today. I think it's something that it's always good to have videos like this to explain things. And obviously there's lingo, and each person has lingo. Like I have certain phrases and ideas and words that mean different things, and other people have their little expressions. So hopefully this spreads a little bit, but the idea is to find something that's visual, people can relate to and remember, to say, okay, I got to remember this Goldilocks effect in writing. Thank you, and I'll see you around.